Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kevin Niconyate, and I'll be discussing about the Hipaa of 1996. So, the Hipaa of 1996 stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. The Hipaa of 1996 has made an impact on the daily operation of healthcare institutions. Ademekong et al. In 2020 discussed five sections of the Act, namely the Title 1 focus on healthcare access, portability, and renewability. Title 2 preventing healthcare fraud and abuse, administrative simplification, medical liability reform. Title 3 tax related health provisions governing medical savings accounts. Title 4 application and enforcement of group health insurance requirements. And Title 5 revenue offset governing tax deductions for employers. Now, the Title 1 focus on healthcare access, portability, and renewability regulates the availability of group and individual health insurance policies. This also requires the coverage of and limits the restrictions that a group health plan places on benefits for the pre-existing conditions. Title 2 Preventing Healthcare Fraud and Abuse, Administrative Simplification and Medical Liability Reform establishes the policies and procedures for maintaining privacy and security of individually identifiable health information. It also outlines the offenses and creates civil and criminal penalties for the violations of such act. Title 3 tax related health provisions governing medical accounts talks about or standardizes the amount that may be saved per person in a pre-tax medical savings account. Title 4 application and enforcement of group health insurance requirements specifies the conditions for the group health plans regarding coverage of persons with pre-existing conditions and modifies continuation of coverage requirements. The last title, a revenue offset governing tax deductions for employers, are the provisions for the company-owned life insurance for employers providing company-owned life insurance premiums, prohibiting tax deductions of interest on life insurance loans, company endowments, and contracts related to the company. Now, under the Title 2 of the administrative simplification, five rules were enforced, namely the privacy rule, the transaction and code set rules, security rule, the unique identifier rule, and the enforcement rule. Now, under the privacy rule, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, in 2015, the Hipaa privacy rule establishes the national standard to protect individuals' medical records and other personal health information, or the PHI, and applies to health plans, healthcare clearinghouses, and those healthcare providers that conduct certain healthcare transactions electronically. The rule involves necessary safety measures to protect the privacy of the PHI and set limits and conditions on the uses and disclosure of this data without the patient authorization. Now, the privacy rule covers all personnel working in a healthcare facility. It also covers non-patient care employees, companies extended to the healthcare, such as the health insurance companies, billing companies, and the electronic medical record companies. Another rule is the security rule. While the privacy rule involves the whole PHI of an individual or the whole protection of the PHI of an individual, the security rule is more specific, which lay out the administrative, the physical, and the technical safeguards of electronic health records. Now, HIPAA have effects on the employers too. The employers are mandated to provide periodic training for employees who have access to patient information. Edemekong et al. In 2020 stated that education and training of healthcare workers or healthcare providers and students are needed to implement HIPAA privacy and security acts. Effective training and education must describe the regulatory background and purpose of HIPAA and provide a review of the principles and key provisions of the privacy rule. However, even with the numerous regular trainings, there are still rule violations that occur according to Moore and Fry in 2019. There has been numerous updates and modification also of the HIPAA, and it broadens the inclusion of who must comply with it. Together with the Health Information Technology for Economic and Clinical Health Act of 2009, or the High-Tech Act of 2009, they emphasize the compliance with intensified auditing of providers or companies. It also gives heavier penalties and thorough enforcement of the laws. HIPAA effects on individuals. The privacy rule also gives patients the rights over their health care informations, including the rights to examine and obtain a copy of their health records and to request corrections. The privacy rule safeguards that the patient PHI is properly protected while permitting the transfer of health information needed to deliver high quality care and to protect public health. Under also the privacy rule, the patients have the right to access their PHI when they request such to their healthcare providers, and the providers have 30 days to provide those copy to the patients in electronic form or hard copy form. HIPAA effects on payers. Under the HIPAA Title I Healthcare Access, Portability, and Renewability, it requires the coverage of and limits the restrictions that a group health plan places on benefits for pre-existing conditions. That is according to Edemekong et al. At 2020. It also requires insurers to issue policies without exclusion to those living group health plans with creditable coverage exceeding 8 months, and renew individual policies for as long as they are offered, or provide alternatives to discontinued plans for as long as the insurer stays in the market without exclusion regardless of the health condition. So that is all the information that I can share with you about HIPAA. I hope you enjoy it.